are you? How the heck are you?
We're going to do a podcast.
So let's get a little deeper into your story, shall we? Who are you?
Well,
that becomes a sticky wicket. You know, what's your juice? Let's get back on track. You've got a lot of things going on. What is it that you're curious about? You know, what you're doing?
Run the world.
Right? Well,
like, let's crumble up some philosophy for you.
Boom, 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 boom. It's been a whirlwind for you. What is it that supercharges you about this? Lots going on, lots coming up. Or is that too many stuff? Did I ask too many questions?
No, not too many questions.
All right, so I'd like to invite Marissa Kulig Crow to join me. And I am not going to repeat her bio because it's in the program, but I'm going to let her come on up and we can get this started. Hi, how are you? Yeah? Do we need to take a deep breath? There you go. Oh. Are you on? Yes, we're on. Okay. Yeah. So I would like for you to introduce yourself to the group. Share with us who you are, what you do, and maybe more importantly, why you do it.
Okay. All right. Good morning, everyone. I am Marissa, and I live in Westfield, Massachusetts. Born and bred here in Western Mass, Granby specifically. Grew up with my father and my grandfather as avid golfers. So I was running around the golf course as a little child, and maybe by the age of 8, I was like tagging on my dad's shirt, okay, I want to learn. Golf is a very male-dominated sport, as some of you may know. So even back then, how many years now? 39.
Oh, wow.
39 years ago I started. I'm only 29, so that doesn't make any sense. Oh my God. But anyways, 39 years ago, even then, girls didn't really play. They didn't have golf teams. So my dad was like, okay, took me under his wing. Played junior golf, high school, tried out for the boys team, had to play from their tees, proudly made it.
You go.
Yeah. And then I went to Springfield Technical Community College, played on the men's team there, business degree, and then transferred to Bryant in Rhode Island, captained the women's team there. Tried out of college working for a small business in Springfield, and I really missed golf, so like in the summers I would work part-time at various golf courses. My first job was, I was 17, got my license, my parents were like, go. I worked at Chicopee Country Club, and then, as I said, fast forward out of college, I was like, you know what, I really miss golf. I need to get back there. And it wasn't just playing, it was just being around the atmosphere, the club. And I was like, I think I want to take my business degree and do something with that in the golf industry. So, yeah, it's been a long journey. Western Mass, the golf community is very small. Everyone knows everyone. It's, like I said, male dominated, and I worked my way around different clubs, exhausted every course in the area. I've held every position from greenskeeper, I cut grass, I was an assistant, made my way up the ranks to head pro, general manager. It was tough, it was hard, and it was just constantly pushing. You know, I feel like I never was where I wanted to be. So I knew that with golf, teaching was my favorite because I was with people and just interacting with, especially women. I was like, you know what, this is just fun. I'm teaching you, I'm seeing, I'm giving you confidence, I'm seeing you hit this golf ball and light up. So I knew that's something I really wanted to focus on. So then, about 12 years ago, like I said, I exhausted every course in the area. There was a job opening down in Connecticut. I'm not sure if you're familiar with Lyman Orchards. They're known for their apple pies, but they have a beautiful facility down in Middlefield, Connecticut. It's about an hour, 15 from here. They built a facility, practice facility, across the street from their two 18-hole championship golf courses. And they were looking to build their team of instructors. And I was like, oh man, I'm from Western Mass. Everyone knew me as a junior golfer and carrying all these positions. Like, I'm gonna commute down to Connecticut where no one knows me and start all over. And this was, like I said, 12, 13 years ago. And I'm like, you know what? This is my last shot. This is kind of like what I thought. All right, it's teaching full time. Let's do it. So I went down there, and I mean, that's a whole story, but I built the largest women's program in the country, which is still mind-blowing.
Amazing. Yes.
Yeah, I started there, and they had like a few women, maybe like 100 ladies throughout the whole year, and then the last 9, 10 years, I had 1,500 to 2,000 ladies taking my classes every season.
And wow, that's huge.
Yeah, we're not all year round, don't forget. So it's like March through October, November.
All right. Wow. Wowzer. And what's going on now?
So as I prepared for this little interview,
Yes.
it was kind of cool because it made me really reflect and think. It's like, I never really thought about how I got here.
Well, it's interesting too. I think we don't give ourselves time to pause and take a look at a lifetime of achievement, right? In general. And so good, I'm glad we afforded you that pleasure.
So I was at Lyman Orchards for 11 years, and not this past May, but May of 2023, I was driving down to Connecticut, 91, and I wasn't happy. I was like, I was tired. That's the best way I could explain it. And it's May. I'm like, okay, I cannot be tired in May because the golf season is like, boom,
Now.
full swing, no pun intended. But it's like, I can't be tired. I mean, and my schedule was, it's not like I'm a golf pro out there with one lady at a time. All right, just hit a ball. I had built a program where they had 5 levels, 101 through 501. I taught 25 classes a week.
Oh, wow.
And they ranged anywhere from 3 to 30 ladies in a class. Of course, I had staff with me, but I mean, I started from nothing, and then I just was
that
like,
staff
boom,
didn't
boom.
happen. That stuff didn't happen overnight.
No, not at all.
Great.
But 25 classes a week. I mean, I loved my job, but I got to a point where I was like,
So
no.
you're not doing that now.
No.
What are you doing?
I miss it, but I was like, okay, I think I've hit my burnout.
Yeah.
And I was like, I have an 8-year-old son who's autistic, and I have all my family still around here in Western Mass. I'm like, I missed out on a lot because I poured myself into my job, which I don't take back, I don't regret.
No, I get that. Yep.
But I'm like, I need to be with my family. I need to spend time with my son. So here I am this year. I was like, okay, I'm starting on my own. Independent contractor. I'm gonna start something over. Here I go again. But I'm teaching at various locations. Still trying to find my way. But it's cool because I have flexibility and
Nice.
there's pros and cons.
Can you just really quickly share with me like the LGPA piece? I'm not a golfer, I'm sorry. So I know
LPGA.
LGPA? Sorry. Obviously, I am not a golfer. There we are. That part of your life. Sorry.
Yeah, take lessons.
I know. I tried that, and you can talk to Susan LaPointe. I tried that. That didn't really work out too well.
Well, you weren't taught by me.
Well, then that's true. That's true.
I just want to ask real quick, show of hands, how many of you ladies have played or tried pit-ball? Tried.
Wow.
Mini golf? All right. A little more than half.
Oh, so you're not going to make me repeat those letters again,
Oh,
are you?
LPGA, Ladies Professional Golf Association.
Thank you.
So when I was in Springfield working in office, all right, this is boring, I need to be outside, I miss golf. I was like, again, working in the summers at various clubs, and at the time, I was at Wilbraham Country Club. I was working under one of the best teaching pros in the New England area, Daryl Passanella, and his assistant was a female, Anne Marie Hamilton, and they convinced me to join the LPGA, which is a long process. You know, there's an apprenticeship and testing and yada yada, but I started there in 2001. I became an LPGA member.
Wow. Congratulations.
Yeah.
Very nice.
Thanks.
So as we dive into our questions this morning, we're going to be kind of looking at leading people through change and uncertainty. And I was kind of thinking about that, you know, my role as executive director, you know, I see it as one of my primary jobs is leading people through change, right? As the economy changes, as our community changes, and, you know, even when it's hard for me, you have to kind of put that aside and be that example, right? And I was kind of thinking about, for instance, you know, we recently opened up the Work Hub on Union. When Marissa and I first met, I don't even, like it was a year and a half ago, whatever it was, we were in the process of getting ready for construction. And I don't know, so we had to clear out 1,100 square feet of 60 years of first floor and basement of stuff. Me. And so I'm there, and we had made an appointment, and in walks this woman, and I'm like, oh God, now what? And lo and behold, I completely forgot that we were supposed to have our meeting. I was so embarrassed. I mean, there's stuff everywhere, people running around, and I finally was just like, I can't even, there's no hiding from this. And so we ended up sitting on the floor, and you were so gracious and so kind, and we had a lovely meeting. So I appreciate you in that moment, because it was ridiculous, really. So anyways, I just veered off of where I was going, but the Work Hub on Union, and you know, leading through that, you know, getting that vision to the end point, you know, there was some really fabulous, great moments, and then there were some really hard moments, right? But yeah, and I realized in those hard moments that my best approach would be just to be vulnerable, lay myself out there, and say, you know, basically, I believe in this, do you? And the most astonishing thing happened. And yeah, they did. And then more people did. And now we have the space built. So it was really kind of interesting, right? Leading through that change, and it can be hard. But I want to talk about you and your role as a teacher and a leader. And as someone who is in the eye of the public, what strategies do you use to keep those around you, as well as your students, motivated during times of uncertainty and change? Yeah.
Well, I guess COVID was like a change, like a time where it
had to have thrown you for a huge loop.
Because I'm with people.
Yeah, all day long.
I mean, the good thing was you're outdoors, and people weren't working. They were at home. They wanted to get outside, wanted fresh air. They wanted to see people, but keep your distance, and golf was like the perfect sport. It's funny, we joke COVID sparked the golf industry. I mean, product, they were running out of manufacturers, like they can't make clubs to keep up with the demand.
Oh. So not everybody was hanging around doing sourdough bread.
Well, they wanted to get outside and lose a few pounds. But that was a test, because it was like, okay, the timing of it was like, oh crap, we can't go back to the course because we don't know. And like, what do we have to do? And so they put a plan in place where, as instructors, we had to, limit the number of students, but we were outdoors, wearing masks. We had to sanitize all the clubs and equipment, which is a pain in the arse. But hey, I mean, we made it work.
So did you have a particular strategy, or did you just not even think and you're just like, okay, I'm doing this thing? Like, was there a thing? Or did you rely on something, or just,
it's
just
a
management?
instinct. Like my GM, he was like, all right, Marissa, this is what you have to do. Let's make it work.
Yeah.
So it's like, okay, we have to come in earlier. I mean, I was coming into work a couple hours early every day.
Yay.
Yeah. Wearing gloves to clean all those clubs, and I'm like, I have eczema. Great. Huge breakout. Whatever.
Yeah, whatever it took. Whenever it took.
Yeah, I mean, people loved the opportunity to still do something together as a group. So taking lessons.
Building community, it sounds like. That's what you were doing.
Absolutely.
That was a strategy.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Nice. That feels good.
Because we talked about isolation.
Yeah.
Well, no, this was a way to
Avoid that.
Yes.
How do you build a team of advocates, AKA your street posse? Who are your street posse? Who supports you? Who's like there? Who's your cheerleaders? Like, I have a few here today.
That's a great question, because I feel like I didn't have a posse up until
I bet you do. I know you do.
Oh.
I know you do, because I heard it from around.
Well, me personally, I felt like I didn't have a posse until I made my way down in Connecticut. And I'm very lucky that I had a GM for once, finally, that supported me, because like I said, I keep saying male dominated. I don't know if they felt threatened or just like, But down at Lyman, my GM was my #1 fan. He saw the potential in me, and he's the one that ultimately pushed me to just, keep doing what you're doing. You're a rock star.
You are a rock star.
No. But I mean, I have some colleagues there, male peers, that have been so supportive of me, and I still keep in touch with them. So now, being on my own, I feel like I'm on my own island, but I'd say that my family and close friends.
Yep.
Yeah.
What qualities do you believe are essential for leaders during times of uncertainty? I see, it's different than when things are easy, right?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Being honest. Being able to talk, like just keep the communication going. Not being afraid to talk to people, especially your posse or people who support you. Because that's like when you need like reassurance. It's nice to bounce ideas or feelings off of people, and qualities, say that again.
What qualities do you believe are essential for leaders during times of uncertainty?
Yeah, being open, honest, having reassurance towards your staff.
I feel like part of it is all about empathy as well.
Absolutely.
Right? A little emotional intelligence and understanding, trying to be aware enough. Sometimes it's hard because sometimes you're so wrapped up in your own thing, to be aware enough that someone else might not be there with you. Right?
True.
Yeah. Let's see. So managing conflict during change. Let's shift a little bit. During change, emotions run high, and emotional intelligence is challenged. Speaking of emotional intelligence, often during times of change and uncertainty, conflict arises, and often things are not related to what is happening on the surface. How do you identify root causes of conflict during these times?
conflict. Trying to draw from my own experience, like with my colleagues. I was the one in charge of the program, and as it grew, I would have more employees under me, but there were times where
More people you were responsible for.
What's that?
More people you were responsible for reporting to you.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes. And I was very protective of my program.
Right?
So, making sure that everyone's on the same page, because
Buy-in.
I feel like this program represents me. So that was hard over the years, having some people come in and not follow not that I wanted them to be me, but do have your own style, but you still kind of gotta stick to.
Meet the standard?
Yes. And I am so detail oriented. I would have like word for word, timing. I know. But I think we're all.
But you're clear. You're a clear communicator.
Yes.
Right. So that's what that is, I think.
I think this is the only way to make sure that people followed they would do it my way.
Ooh, it's a little control.
Well, yeah, we're all control freaks, right? I feel like as women, guilty, yes. And funny, as me as an instructor, I could tell with all these women how, I know how you are. We all want to be perfectionists. We all don't want to be embarrassed, or I'm getting off track here.
Yeah.
So getting back to staffing or colleagues, especially towards the last few years, it was hard because I'd have people come in from different environments, maybe from a private country club. They were used to just doing private lessons. They couldn't handle the class setting or different personalities. And it's funny how I don't realize, okay, I'm pretty adaptable, trying to please everyone, and where not everyone can.
Well, I think part of the thing too is how do you remain true to your vision, right? And empathetic at the same time, and keeping everybody on track.
Right. But I could tell when instructors that were teaching these classes, they were like, you know what, they weren't happy, or I would hear from other people, I'm like, if you have a problem, why don't you come to me? And I feel like I'm very approachable, and I'm always checking in with people, okay, how was class?
Well, it comes back to we can't be everything to everybody as much as we, I'm guilty of the same darn thing. I want everybody to be happy. I want everybody to be part of the community. I want everybody to be a part of the group. And sometimes giving yourself permission to say, okay, you really don't want to be a part of the group. So that's okay.
Try to make it work.
We can't be everything to everybody. This is what I'm trying to say. Right? So you mentioned burnout. Let's talk about managing burnout during change and uncertainty. How have you personally experienced, so you mentioned you were driving into work one day and you were just exhausted. Were there any other signs that you were able to identify that were associated to that realization?
Absolutely.
And can you identify that in others? What are the signs that you see maybe in your team? I'll start with you.
So
Too many questions. Sorry. I had no caffeine.
So I am usually very happy and happy-go-lucky, having fun, because I love what I do. I love teaching. I love being around people. It's not my job. So when I was like, okay, I'm tired, certain people are getting on my nerves, my fuse was getting really short. I'm like, this is not me. Why am I feeling like this?
Yeah.
Why are things bothering me when they never did before?
Right.
And usually, I think I had burnout every year. And the sign was one student would make me cry.
Oh no.
I'd have one meltdown every season, and I joke around with my colleagues like, okay, Marissa needs a vacation, because I would end up it was too hot. It's 95 degrees out. I have 15 minutes between classes. I'm running around trying to make people happy. I have some students that are really, really, really needy. And I didn't eat. I'm tired. And then this one student, whatever, the straw that broke the camel's back. I'd end up running to the conference room and just bawling my eyes out. Or an email from a student, well, I expected this, but this stuff, I'm like, again, start bawling.
Right.
Once a year. So that was my sign where, you know what, I need a break.
Isn't it interesting too when you have that realization just how darn uncomfortable it is, because you realize, like you said, this is not who I am. This is not where I live. I'm feeling all this stuff that's so foreign.
But I think it goes back to
You understand what I mean?
feeling empathy. I think I care so much about my program and my job, and I care about people that I take it personally. Like someone complaining, I'm like, oh, what did I do wrong? I'm questioning how what did I do wrong? Well, what did I miss?
I hear you. I hear you.
And
I hear you
that's crappy.
loud and clear.
Because it's not me.
No, I hear
but one rotten apple.
I hear you. Even in my, in what I do, I have heard that, you take it too personal. And you know what? Yeah, I do. I do take it personal because that's who I am, and I care. I care about each and every one of my contingency and beyond. So, and I've put all of myself into it. So yeah, it is personal. And you know what? I'm not sorry for that. Sorry, but not sorry.
I agree.
Yeah, I get it though.
I agree.
I hear it.
So so last May of 2023, that was the ultimate burnout. Meaning, okay, I can't be traveling down here anymore. I can't stand driving in this traffic, construction, an hour and a half. I miss my son. I miss my family.
And were you on 91?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's horrible.
Yeah.
I did that in my first part of my young career. I was driving, from driving through down 91 to Hartford, and I'm like, I made a decision that I can't do that. The energy when you come over when you cross over from the Massachusetts border into Connecticut, all of a sudden it's like a vortex. The energy is completely different, isn't it? Or is it? It's right? Yes, you can tell me yes.
Drivers.
I'm not going to get specific, but the energy it's like a force field. You go over the line at Enfield and you're like, whoa. What just happened? So I'm sorry, I cut you off.
So that was the point where I'm like, I think I need to move on. And it was funny, the last couple of years at my job, I was starting to, not realizing it, market a brand like myself, like branding myself, kind of doing things off property. I wasn't under the Lyman umbrella. I was trying to make a name for myself. Yes. Without really not really realizing it though. I'm like, you know what, I because people were approaching me from whatever, different organizations.
It's the universe talking to you, sister.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They're like, here, come here,
yes.
do this. I'm like, okay. And it was great because it was fresh. It wasn't like, okay, the daily grind, 30 classes a week, doing the same thing, which I loved, but it was fun and exciting to travel and, offer different programming to other groups of women, being creative. Yes, something fresh, new. So I'm like, okay. Then I think I realized, you know what? Maybe I can just do it on my own completely. Yay.
Yes, you can. You did. And what did that mean? Tell us what that was.
I have to say it was really hard. really hard. I mean, when I sat down with my GM and my director of golf, and I waited for my director of golf to come back from Italy. This is how caring I am. I didn't want to ruin his trip, his family trip. So I was like, I'm gonna wait till he comes back and tell him. So I sat down with them. They had no idea. They had no idea. I couldn't even get the words out. I just started bawling, and they're like, okay, what's wrong? And, I mean, they thought I was going to talk about next year. You know, we start talking about goals, and oh my gosh. So for me to start bawling, I mean, it's just, I cared. I mean, I didn't want to,
Right.
but I
you
had to. Yes.
You were showing empathy for yourself.
Yes.
Yeah.
And they understood. They knew I had a family, and like, you know what, Marissa, we wish you the best.
Well, if they value,
Yes.
value you, they will feel that, and they will want the best for you. So,
So how did I manage it?
yeah. No, I was going to move on. I was going to
Okay,
say,
please move on.
what role does I think we just kind of talked about that. What role does your community and peer support play in managing the burnout, especially in leadership positions, and having that support from those folks that you were working with is one huge giant big step.
I was very fortunate that I was so close to my GM, and we still keep in touch. They actually invite me back to their facility for the two largest events of the year, which is Women's Golf Day and Putt for Pink, which is a great, I mean, we have 250 ladies that play and support, you know, Breast Cancer Awareness Month, and they invite me back to be like, you know,
Nice.
the star of the day. But it's great because I
You
get
are
to
a star.
reconnect with my students.
And they want you to shine. I love that. I have a question about vulnerability. Changing vulnerability. Can you share with me the benefits of being open and vulnerable? How do you feel about that? And how much vulnerability do you expose? Are you willing to be vulnerable? Not only in times where you've hit your limit and now you're crying in the conference room, right? We've all had that. But are there in between times of vulnerability?
Yeah, I mean, I think that's why I was successful, or I am successful, because I'm real, I'm honest, I care about people, and if I make a mistake, I own it, I own up to it. It doesn't happen often, but
But I do.
But yeah, I mean, yeah, why hide? I wear my
Doesn't even
feelings
compute in
on.
your brain.
No.
Yeah. Okay. So, authenticity. How would you define authenticity in leadership?
Authenticity, being genuine, real, authentic. I am authentic. Again, I think that's why I'm successful, because I do what I feel is right. I mean, my job is servicing, is offering a service, right? Like, plain and simple, but it's more than that. I mean, the thousands of women that I have taught, it's just so rewarding that I've changed lives. It sounds weird to say that, but
No, it doesn't.
But I mean, I've done like presentations, and I've had students be my, you know, they were there to tell their story, and they would share how golf changed their lives, be it like, I have so many.
I think that's it's interesting, because in another lifetime, many of you already know this, but 20 years I was a massage therapist. I was a sports massage therapist. And I worked with this one particular woman for many years. And, you know, a lot of what I did at that time is, you know, there wasn't a lot of talking,
right? I worked with this woman for many years. I knew her name, I knew her life history, but we didn't discuss, I didn't know about her life, you know. But I had decided that it was time for me to move on to something else, and I was going to be leaving. And after our last session together, I shared with her that I was going to be leaving, and she looked at me, and she said, "But what about me?" And she just started to weep. And I was like, oh my God, I had absolutely no idea, right, how you affect other people. I think,
Totally.
yeah, and I think that's part of what you do. You have no idea how you're affecting these, you know, the impact that you're having on the folks that you're teaching, and beyond.
Oh my gosh. I mean, I did this presentation for the LPGA at the PGA show, which is like an yearly industry event, all golf related people, not necessarily just professionals. And I had 4 or 5 ladies share their story and of like how they started taking lessons with me and what it meant. And we did a dry run via Zoom. I was bawling, like my GM was with me, and we were just, I was like, oh my God.
I know, right?
Oh
So
my
touched.
goodness. Like, but that just made me feel that much better. Like, okay, I'm doing what I was meant to do. Like,
Absolutely.
and I don't even realize it though. Just being myself, being
Right.
authentic,
Right.
caring, giving women the confidence that, no, I believe that every woman can take up golf. And it's not just being good, but creating relationships. You know, I think especially you professionals, I mean, you learn a lot about people on the golf course. And then you learn a lot about yourself. But there's just so many benefits.
Right.
Yeah.
How do you maintain your core values and principles during times of change?
Say that again.
How do you maintain, it's sort of related to authenticity, how do you maintain your core values and principles during times of change? Right? It can get confusing. You can be bombarded with a lot of noise during change. You know, and we all are guided by our core values. They're different for all of us. And how do you maintain that? Be true to thyself.
Yes.
Yeah.
It's hard. Like I said, now that I'm on my own, I feel like I don't have that support, or I'm not surrounded by my colleagues. But I mean, like I said, just believing. I just had a meeting with one of my mentors, and he said something that really resonated. Because I use him as a soundboard, and he's like, I said, I feel like I'm starting all over. And it's scary, change, obviously, but I know deep down this is what I want. I'm spending more time with my family. It's all good, but it's scary. I went from going 100 miles an hour to like, okay, I'm a turtle right now, and I really want to speed up. But he said, Marissa, don't let the last 10 years, don't let that all disappear. That's.
What does that mean?
What do you mean? Like, I feel like, okay, he's like, you're not starting over. Don't
You're building upon?
Yes, it looks different, but don't disregard everything you've done so far up to this point, which is like, okay,
Yeah.
all right.
That feels different.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He's like, you're still a national award winner. Not many people can say that.
Right?
Like, you're one of the best in the country. Don't forget that. And I'm like,
Own it.
okay.
Own it.
All right. Okay. I mean, I'm humble. I
get it.
forget, but yes,
We
be
can be humble
confident.
and own it
Like,
at the same
come on.
time.
What's that?
We can be humble and own it at the same time.
Yeah.
Yeah. You wear it well. I'm wondering about, we're shifting a little bit about the topic of commitment. And what are your thoughts on commitment?
It seems like a very general question.
Well, around leadership, in your role in the community, being committed to, we've talked about burnout, being vulnerable, being empathetic, being committed to your passion. What does that mean to you, being committed to your passion?
It's who I am.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, it defines who I am.
Mm-hmm.
And I guess it's made me realize, thinking about certain people that I've paths that I've crossed, it's like, okay, not everyone is committed.
No, they are not.
You know, you're just like, oh, you would think otherwise, but
I think we also have to be clear as to what that passion is, right? You can't be committed to something that you don't know what it is, right?
True.
So you're very well defined. You had that well defined for yourself, so it seems easy.
And I think, just looking back at how I was raised, I mean, going way back, my parents were very strict, but they developed a work ethic. So I've always had that, like my whole career. I worked hard because that's just who I was and what I was taught.
Yeah.
And perseverance. I mean, it was a long journey. It was a bumpy road, but being committed to, okay, believing I love golf. I love being around people. I want to help people.
I have a question
Yes.
about commitment. What is it at this point, because I'm going to open it up to questions here in a second, but what is it about, the talk about commitment, and what are you trying to build now?
Trying to build.
I know that's general, so you can kind of pick a direction. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah. I mean, I love what I did down in Connecticut. I feel like I want to do that here locally. And I mean, again, people have told me, Marissa, yes, you do it here and here, but it's bigger than that. You're actually reaching people across the country more than you realize. So building a community, of women, that's why I'm here.
Yay! All right, so thank you. Let's hear it for Marissa.